Get ready to explore a more personal side of one of the most iconic women in country music history. Known around the world as the coal miner's daughter, Loretta Lynn was a trailblazer who built her career by turning the truth of her own life into music. Singing about marriage, motherhood, double standards, heartbreak, survival, and the private struggles women were often expected to keep quiet at the time. And that honesty changed the industry forever. And here in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, her ranch still stands as one of the most personal places connected to her legacy. Today, we're touring the grounds of Loretta Lynn's ranch, stepping inside her museum, seeing her tour bus, cars, awards, stage costumes, family heirlooms, and the collections she held onto her entire life. And then we'll be heading inside the house itself, the mansion Loretta loved, the place she raised her family, welcomed fans, and where so many stories, memories, and even ghostly legends apparently still surround the property. Hi, I'm Allie, and welcome back to Fab Little Dish, where we celebrate historic homes, vintage interiors, and the stories that keep these places alive. If you love historic house tours, make sure to hit thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the amazing places I have coming your way. Now let's head to Hurricane Mills, Tennessee together and step inside the world of Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn's story is the definition of the American dream. She built an empire from almost nothing, and she did it by turning her real life into music that millions of people could connect with. Loretta Lynn was born Loretta Webb in Butcher Holler, Kentucky in 1932. Loretta was the oldest of 6 children, and she helped raise them, which no doubt helped her role of motherhood later down the road when she had her own set of 6 children. She grew up in a coal mining household in a world that was poor and incredibly hardworking, and that background always stayed with her. It became the foundation of her music, her identity, and eventually the song that would define her. Coal miner's daughter. She never hid where she came from. She made it the foundation of not only her story, but her career. Her music was honest, direct, and rooted in real life, about marriage, motherhood, heartbreak, poverty, jealousy, survival, double standards, and sometimes those harsh realities that women were often expected not to ever talk about at the time, let alone sing about. That honesty is what made people feel so deeply connected to her. Loretta gave a voice to the things so many women were living through quietly. She made those stories impossible to ignore. Loretta married Oliver Lynn, better known as Doolittle, Do, or Mooney. She was still very young. Their marriage was complicated, passionate, difficult, and deeply tied to her story. They were married for 45 years. He was the one who bought her first guitar and pushed her to perform. But their life together also gave her plenty of the heartbreak, frustration, and fire that would later come through in her lyrics. Together, they had 6 children: Betty Sue, Jack Benny, Clara Marie, who many knew as Sissy, Ernest Ray, and twins Peggy Jean and Patsy Eileen. So before Loretta was ever a country music legend, she was a young wife and a mother, struggling and trying to build a life far from her hometown where she came from. Her first single, Honky Tonk Girl, came out in 1960, and by the mid-60s, she had already become one of country music's biggest stars. And then in 1970, Coal Miner's Daughter became the song that told the world exactly who she was. Through all her success, Loretta never tried to be something she wasn't. Even as her career grew, she still carried Butcher Holler with her. In her voice, stories, the way she sang, and the way she connected with people. And then there was Patsy Cline, who helped her find another voice within her. A voice of independence. Patsy became one of Loretta's closest friends and mentors early in her career. At a time when Loretta was still finding her footing in Nashville, Patsy helped her with her confidence, style, stage presence. Their friendship was cut short because Patsy died in a plane crash in 1963. But that friendship left a forever impact on Loretta, and you can feel the influence of their friendship in the way Loretta carried herself afterward. She was still warm, funny, and country to her core, but also she developed a sharper, tougher, and more outspoken side. That's what made her such a force. She was a storyteller. She was funny. She was blunt. She was glamorous when she wanted to be. And she was never afraid to say the things other people were dancing around at the time. That honesty is why generations of fans connected with her and still connect with her to this day. And it's also why this ranch feels so personal when you step through it. There was just so much about her that was relatable. In 1962, her managers at the time, the Wilburn brothers, insisted that Loretta wore heels, but Loretta always preferred her boots, so she had to practice wearing heels so she could run on stage at the Grand Ole Opry without stumbling. a gal after my own heart. This place represents a woman who came from very little, worked relentlessly, saved almost everything, and proudly displays it to this day. As Loretta's career continued, she became a symbol of resilience, honesty, and female empowerment in country music. She joined the Grand Ole Opry, released hit after hit, earned major awards, was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and continued making music well into her later life. You can just really feel the impact she left on the world. Here's Loretta and Garth Brooks singing together on stage. The legendary Alan Jackson is kissing her hand. Johnny Cash is here welcoming her in 1988 into the membership of the Country Music Hall of Fame during the CMAs at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And when you come here to her ranch in Hurricane Mills, you're stepping into the world of a woman who wrote herself into history by telling the truth, her truth. The Coal Miner's Daughter Museum is 18,000 square feet, and it really does feel like walking through milestones that defined Loretta's life, from Butcher Holler to the road, the stage, to the ranch. Before you even step inside of the museum, you'll already see pieces of Loretta's story starting to take shape. This is her original tour bus, parked right in front, and seeing it here really brings the scale of her career into focus. She went from the coal miner's cabin in Kentucky to touring across the country as one of the biggest names in country music. The museum starts with some of the larger pieces, her cars and her tour bus, the things that immediately remind you how big Loretta Lynn became. There's cars in here that Doolittle purchased for her, and she has so many memories attached to a lot of these cars that are in here. There's little signs posted throughout with her own handwriting describing what the car is and who got it for her, like this Mercedes Doolittle bought for her. You can really just feel all of the memories connected with all of these vehicles, and I love that she held on to all of them. And I love that her handwriting is right here, making the personal connection that much stronger to each thing. And it's really fun walking through her tour bus because you can almost picture her getting ready back here, preparing for shows, debating with Doolittle if she should wear makeup or not, and sleeping right here in these bunks. You can feel the anticipation she had, traveling all over the country, sharing her truth with the world. Some of Loretta's dresses are still here hanging, along with her leather jackets, accessories, and pieces of her life from the road. And this tour bus just feels like a time capsule in itself, a reminder of the miles she traveled, the shows she played, and the life she lived between home and the stage. The museum is where Loretta's story really starts to feel tangible. She saved so many things from different chapters of her life, and they say that Loretta was a bit of a pack rat, but honestly, I can understand why. When you come from very little, every single thing is important to hold on to, whether that's a dress, a photograph, a letter, piece of furniture, or just something that reminds you of where you came from. And because she held on to so much, this museum feels incredibly personal. It shows the poverty she came from, the success she built, the people she loved, the artists and careers she helped influence, and the legacy that made her a legend. There's pieces here that are connected to her parents, her childhood, her early home life, and the world she came from before the fame. I love this dress right here that her father bought for her when she was young. It reminds me of the scene in Coal Miner's Daughter when she gets an extra present because she's becoming a woman. It's so sweet that she held on to all of these things. When Loretta married Oliver Doolittle Lynn in 1948, she was just 15 years old and came from extreme poverty, so she wore a simple store-bought dress for the ceremony. Later in life, those big custom stage gowns became the dream that she built for herself. So even though you won't see her wedding dress displayed here with all of her families, we do see many of her sparkly, sequined ball gowns throughout the rest of the museum. Over here, we see a setup of Doolittle's desk. Mooney was such a complicated but important part of Loretta's story. He encouraged her music early on, helped push her towards performing, and became part of the life she wrote about so honestly. The love, the struggles, the chaos, all of it. He was an essential piece of all of this. Here is a Grammy that she won with Jack White on display, which was so cool to see in real life. I also love the Tiffany gold medal. There's replicas even of her first Tennessee home and the schoolhouse that she went to, surrounded by all of her awards, costumes, photographs, stage pieces, and so many objects connected to the different chapters of her life. It truly feels like a museum about someone who remembered where she came from and what she wanted to hold on to. And I've been to Loretta Lynn's ranch twice. During my first visit in 2021, she was still here. And this one, of course, we know she's not. It feels more like a memorial than before when it was more of just celebrating the life of her. We're still celebrating the life of her here, but there's just more of a spiritual sense almost throughout the entire property. So yes, she held on to a lot, but I am so glad that she did, because now all of these pieces will always help tell her entire story for generations to come. The story of a country music icon, a daughter, wife, mother, performer, collector, and a woman who never lost sight of where she came from. You truly feel like you're walking through layers of Loretta's life through here. Everything from clothing she had, costumes she wore, costumes her band wore, people that she loved, personal items that were donated by other famous musicians to be here shown in this museum, costumes from the movie sets that have been created around her life. I mean, the list is endless about what's in here. And Jessica Lange is one of my favorite actresses, so I loved seeing an outfit of hers here displayed from when she portrayed Patsy Cline in the movie Sweet Dreams. There's also this very sweet dedication to Patsy Cline, who became one of Loretta's closest friends and mentors. And a funny story that she talks about in the book and in the movie is that Patsy gave Loretta this piece of red lingerie to help her feel more glamorous and confident as a woman. I also love the book that Loretta wrote about her friendship with Patsy Cline, and I absolutely recommend it. It's a fabulous read. Their friendship was later adapted into a Lifetime movie, which shows just how sweet that story is. Two women in country music supporting one another during a time when Loretta was still finding her confidence and her place in Nashville. There's just so much memorabilia in here. There's letters, gifts, photographs, clothing, awards, personal objects, and just things that most people probably would just throw away over time. But I'm so glad that Loretta held on to all of it, because together, all of these pieces really show all of the layers of who she truly was: the artist, the mother, the wife, the daughter, and the country music icon. And I mean, just look at all of these awards. It's almost too much to take in. To achieve this much, coming from where she started, really shows the scale of what Loretta built. Not overnight, but through decades of hard work, honesty, and the connection that she made with her fans. I also love how many things in here were donated by other famous artists, like these outfits from Johnny Cash and June Carter, along with one of Johnny Cash's guitars. That is just incredible to see. And I really felt like I was stepping back in time through different generations and really feeling the impact that she left on the industry of country music. And also over here we have some outfits and a guitar as well, donated by Alan Jackson. Everyone here just wanted to make this museum that much more special and pay tribute to the legend of Loretta Lynn. There's also a section here dedicated to Conway Twitty, who became such an important part of Loretta's career. Their duets were a major chapter in her music, and together they created some of the most beloved country duets of the 1970s. He was also always a huge advocate and supporter of Loretta, especially in a world of country music that was dominated by men at the time. The museum also highlights Coal Miner's Daughter, the autobiography that Loretta published in 1976, which later became the famous 1980 film starring Sissy Spacek. They have pieces connected to the movie on display here, including costumes, pages from the script, and memorabilia that show how Loretta's life story reached an even bigger audience across the world through film.
Takes her under her wing and teaches her how to walk in high heels and how to wear makeup and how to fix her hair and all that stuff.
She's giving a lot of clothes. That might have been what she was trying to tell me, dress better. But I wore a pair of panties that she gave me for 4 years, and I don't know how long she had them, but I never did wear these panties out. I finally just kept them. There ain't no way to wear them out.
These are some of her first costumes she wore on stage early in her career, and you can really see the difference between these and her later elaborate ball gowns that became her signature. And this was Loretta Lynn's very first guitar that Mooney bought for her, the piece that truly started it all and ignited a flame within her.
As you can see, Loretta Lynn keeps everything. She's a hoarder before they even had a television show about it. So, you know, she just grew up in the car, and so you don't get rid of things. because you didn't have it. But
long on ambition and short on knowledge of the music business. So, they make their first stop a well-known country music tavern, Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. Here, located near the Opera House, Tootsie's has been...
Hi y'all, my name is Loretta Lynn. And we're so excited to be here on the planet Tootsie's. My grandmother played across the alleyway there for a long time, Miss Loretta Lynn. You come to tell me something.
Loretta and her husband purchased the 3,500-acre estate in 1966, which included the house and the small town surrounding it. The Greek Revival home was built in 1876 and sat about 65 miles outside of Nashville, and it already feels completely different from the little cabin Loretta came from in Butcher Holler. And I think the history is part of what drew Loretta to this house. The ranch reflected the life she sang about: country roads, old buildings, family, music, land, and the kind of setting that felt grand but still very connected to who she was and where she came from. Over time, Loretta and Mooney restored and expanded the property, and the mansion became one of the most recognizable parts of the ranch. The family lived here for many years before eventually building a newer home nearby and opening the mansion for tours. And of course, the house is also known for its ghost stories. Now, I always like to approach these stories with respect, especially in a home connected to real people and real grief, but the legends surrounding this home are definitely part of its history and part of why so many people are still so curious about it today. Loretta herself spoke about strange experiences on the property, and over the years, stories have been told about Civil War soldiers, unexplained footsteps coming up and down the stairs, picture frames moving, and a woman in white connected to the Anderson family who lived here before the Lynns. The property itself carries a lot of history beyond Loretta's life here. It was the site of a Civil War battle, and parts of the grounds served as a makeshift hospital. Though the main house was built in 1876, the land surrounding it carries all of these different layers of Tennessee history. Loretta was drawn to this house also for the spiritual connection she felt to it right away. Unfortunately, video was not allowed inside Loretta's house, which I already knew because I had been here once before, but the bigger surprise this visit was that the one tour guide for the entire house had called out sick that day. I had rented a car from Nashville, drove an hour and a half to Hurricane Mills, only to hear I couldn't tour inside the house. But lucky for me, I had that first visit in 2021, and I have so many pictures to share from that first initial visit, so you can see what the inside of her home looked like and felt like when she was still alive. It's almost like I knew I'd be coming back here one day, and I still feel like I'll be back again. There's even a replica of her Butcher Holler, Kentucky house right here on the ranch. They take you here first on the tour before entering the mansion, so you can really get a feel for how far she came. It's small, simple, and incredibly modest, but it helps you understand the world that Loretta came from before all the fame. We're starting off inside Loretta's kitchen, and right away, this room feels very personal to her. After seeing the museum and all of the stage costumes, awards, and pieces from her career, this room brings us back to Loretta as a wife, mother, grandmother, and homemaker. It has that warm country kitchen feeling with the wood cabinets, copper pans, the baskets, red tile, rooster and apple wallpaper, and all of these little collected pieces that make the space feel so loved. Loretta created spaces in here that really felt down to earth, and you can feel that in her personality here. And then we step into this very 1970s bathroom, and I must say, I kind of love it. After the warm country kitchen, this room has a totally different personality with all of the green tile, the matching green bathtub, sink and toilet, the patterned wallpaper, lace shower curtain. It's a little time capsule in its own way. A preserved layer of an era when Loretta lived here. And next we're stepping into Loretta Lynn's dining room. This space feels formal, but still very much with her taste and style added in. You have this crystal chandelier, the large dining table that's set for guests, china cabinet that's filled with serving pieces, and this rich patterned wallpaper that gives the room a really warm, traditional feeling. It softens the whole room. I'm sure so many memories were formed right here in this space. And I love that one of Loretta's stage dresses is displayed here because it instantly connects the two sides of her life. The glamorous performer who stood on stage in rhinestones and gowns, and the woman who still created a home rooted in family, food, and tradition. Next, we move into the living room. Loretta also had Cherokee ancestry, and you can really feel that influence in parts of the living room decor here, especially in the Native American-inspired pieces, the Western artwork, the leather, horses, and just all these collected objects that made the room so connected to her heritage and country life. You can see the historic bones of the house in the tall ceiling, the chandelier, the wood trim, and that beautiful pressed tin ceiling overhead. But then Loretta fills the room with her own world. Leather seating, Western art, Native American-inspired pieces, cowboy hats, horses, books, family objects, and even clothing displayed throughout the room. Just off the kitchen, we move into this den area, which feels like one of the most personal, everyday spaces in the house. After the more formal rooms, this part of the mansion feels much more casual, almost like the room where life was actually happening. You can see the braided rug right here, the books, guitar, ironing board, little collected pieces, like a place where family would truly gather and relax, laundry would be done, and life would just keep moving. There's also this little window by the kitchen area that looked out towards the home where Loretta was actually living at the time when I originally toured this house. My tour guide even joked at the time that she was probably just in there watching TV when I took this photo, which made the whole experience in here feel so surreal. I felt like she was in here with us, and I still felt like that being on her property this time. And this is one of the most formal rooms in the house. It's the formal parlor and the music room, and I love how she decorated it. It looks like all of those historic plantation homes that I visited in the South, but decorated and painted in a very loud, beautiful Loretta Lynn way. I love the chandelier, how she painted the fireplace this gorgeous mint green. Her piano's here, these soft blue drapes, the portrait of Loretta above the mantel, and all of these family photographs gathered around the room. It feels elegant in here, but still full of personality. I also love the cabinet of dolls and the stage dress displayed here. It gives the room that collected, sentimental feeling that we've been seeing throughout the rest of the home and in the museum too. I love how she turned something that was a historical space truly into something of her own, and it really says that in here. As we head towards the staircase, the walls are lined with album covers that span throughout Loretta's entire career. But this is also one of the areas tied to the mansion's ghost stories. The framed pictures on the staircase here are said to move on their own, and they never seem to stay straight on the walls. Tour guides have even shared multiple stories of trying to straighten them, only for them to shift later in a next tour, and also, some tour guides have been pushed down the stairs. Whether you believe these ghost stories or not, it definitely gives this part of the house a different kind of energy. They also don't let you go upstairs. That is off limits, similar to Elvis Presley's house at Graceland that we just recently toured as well. Those rooms were the private family living spaces, and according to some of the stories connected to the house, the upstairs is also where many of the paranormal incidents have been reported. So out of respect for not only the family spaces that were upstairs and for the spirits that might still reside there, the entire upper floor is off limits to tours. This is the only bedroom we get to see on the mansion tour, and it feels like one of the most personal rooms in the house. From what I understand, this room has often been described as Loretta's old bedroom, though parts of the house and the way the family used it had changed over time. So rather than feeling like one frozen moment, this feels like a room of different layers of Loretta's life all gathered together. I heard that it eventually became one of her daughter's rooms too, and then her granddaughter's room, so it has shifted uses over the years. But regardless, I love the girly feeling that you get when you look inside here. With the soft pink carpet, the green walls, the floral bedding, dramatic curtains, beautiful fireplace, and all of the cute little collectibles displayed throughout, the dolls, Avon perfume bottles, family photos, portraits, and this is really the part of the house where you see a soft, feminine side of Loretta's world. You're seeing how Loretta lived in this house, how she updated certain parts of it, how she loved to decorate, and it really just makes her personality shine in each space. From inside the mansion, we also get this beautiful view looking back out towards the grounds, framed by these beautiful gold lions at the front entrance. And I love this view because it gives you a sense of what Loretta saw when she actually looked out from her house. The ranch, the landscape, the history, and the world she built around this place. As I left Loretta Lynn's ranch, I felt like a little piece of her stayed with me. This visit felt different from the first time I came here, back when she was still alive. There was a lightness then, a feeling that she was still right here on the property, still part of that day-to-day energy of the ranch. This time, that light felt a little quieter. Her presence is still everywhere. You feel it in the museum, throughout the house, in the grounds, within the stories, and in the people who continue to care for this place to this day. But now there's also this deeper sense of reflection, like the ranch has become not only a place of celebration, but a place of memory. I have so much respect for Loretta and the woman that she was. A woman who endured so much, loved deeply, lost deeply, and somehow kept going with an incredible strength that made her into the legend that she will always be known for being. And even though it felt sad to visit here after she was gone, it also made me smile to think about all of the people she must be reunited with now. The family and friends she missed so much, the people who shaped her life, her music, and who she became. Loretta Lynn's Ranch is a place filled with her story, her memories, her family, her faith, and the truth she carried with her from Butcher Holler, Kentucky, all the way to Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. I hope you enjoyed touring Loretta Lynn's ranch, her house, and her museum with me today. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit subscribe. It really helps support the channel. Next week, we'll be heading to the East Coast, so buckle up. Until then, my friends, keep enjoying the beauty of vintage home. Au revoir.